Thank you so much, Miss Ashley. So here, little about us. You can see our lovely faces here. I won't bore you with that. The agenda for today, we're going to be talking about some of the challenges that are still uh, we're still dealing with on a day-to-day basis, as far as, what do we do about back to work? What's going to happen with COVID? What does our future look like as far as real estate needs and things like that? We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll have Fulton demonstrate some tools from Archibus that can help organizations better make those plans, make some decisions about how they can more efficiently use their space, repurpose it, retain, release, surplus space, or what have you. Once we get finished with that, I'll have Sean from DLT talk about some of the different federal contracts available that will be available to state, local governments as well. And other kind of government entities such as higher education, things like that. And then finally, Michael Willett from Space IQ will share a couple of slides about our eventual awarding of federal FedRAMP status for our Archibus SaaS product. We're very excited about that. Got a project coming up with the Veterans Administration who will be shepherding us through that process. So excited to hear what Michael has to say about that. So let's talk about some of our back to work efforts. Over the past couple of years, we've had several presentations. I know we've done several presentations about back to work and how are we going to try to get back to the new normal. I've talked with several clients, and many of them are still unsure about when everyone is coming back, who's coming back, and all of those kinds of questions, and just trying to understand what their workspace is going to look like. So even here at Imagine, we've had multiple kind of, I guess, quote unquote, false starts, I guess, related to opening offices back up, having everybody come back in and start working. It just seems like, whenever we do that, when it gets close to time, they say, well, we're going to push it out a little bit further. And that seems to be kind of an ongoing theme across many of our customers. Added to that, there's the reshaping of the workforce. More often than not, what I'm hearing from my customers is that, they're saying, well, we're coming back at some point, but there's still some uncertainty about who's coming back. Will everyone be back full time in the office? Will everybody stay at home? Or there'll be some sort of middle ground in between. We're finding more and more, I think there's kind of things are settling out to that kind of middle ground area where, folks have discovered, hey, I kind of like working at home. And but you still need to go in the office a couple of days a week. So, all right, so we'll make how do we accommodate for that? Finally, as Fulton kind of is going to show us in the demonstration, want to try to give you guys some tools that you can use to make some data-driven decisions about what the proper mix and makeup of your space portfolio is. With tools such as this, we can demonstrate tools we're demonstrating today. You'll be able to make some informed decisions regarding your path forward. Rental assistance. I read an article last week about the rental assistance program that was put in place under the CARES Act. That ended in January, and banks have about 60 days to start reporting on delinquencies and things of that nature. And that's got some experts worried about what's that going to do for the commercial real estate industry and for, just residential industry as well. But are we going to see a lot of industries, a lot of customers who were delinquent, maybe in their real estate rental payments, and now they're at risk of being evicted? What is that going to do to the market? We're going to have a flood of empty real estate that everyone has to deal with now. And so how does that impact us strategically as we look to the future? So with that said, the tools we're talking about is how are you utilizing the space you have? evaluating your current space needs with how you're planning to come back to work, making sure you get the right amount of space between offices or hoteling or conference rooms, things of that nature. Scenario planning for future needs. As you look to the future, do you need all the space you have? If you only have 75% of your workforce coming back, what do you do with that extra space? Do you hold on to it? Maybe that you're going to grow, or do you want to try to shed that space and reduce your expenses? And again, kind of right sizing your portfolio with data-backed analysis. That's what we'll end up with. And so I'm going to hand it off to Fulton now and let him take a dive into the software and show you some of the tools that we have here at your disposal. If you got any questions, please remember to type them into the question and answer box, and we'll address those at the end of the presentation. Fulton, I'll hand it off to you.
All right. Well, this is Archibus Web Central, and we're looking at a list of floors of various buildings. And this is called the Space Console. We're going to look at several features that Archibus offers to help with this time of bringing people back. And 4 of those types of things. We're going to look at rooms within a floor and the kind of information that you need in order to be prepared to take advantage of these things. We're going to look at employees. We're going to look at a feature called Teams, which is a way to assign space without assigning it to individuals, and then you can assign individuals to the teams, and so they just have an area that they can go to. And then finally, we're going to look at hoteling, which is a way to have transactions where people can make a reservation specifically for a room for a day or a half a day as needed. And then last, when we get done with kind of the space aspect of this in terms of floor plans, we're going to look at strategic planning that Archibus offers to give you an idea of how your space is currently being utilized and the ability to create scenarios when you want to make changes. So I'm going to start with a floor plan. And this is a typical AutoCAD, or in this case, a Revit model. Archibus uses both AutoCAD and Revit to produce floor plans. And then when we look at that, we can see different highlights. So our focus today is going to be on occupancy. And you have a legend to be able to tell what the various types of occupancy are. The gray areas are rooms that have been designated as not being occupiable. Green means the room is vacant. Blue means it's got somebody in it, but there's still capacity remaining. And then yellow means it's at capacity. And red means that there are more people than it was designed for. So you can make various changes to the rooms. So I'm just going to click on a couple of rooms here and go look at those rooms. And we have information about those rooms, and kind of the important things that we're looking at here are whether this room is available. You have the ability to determine which rooms are available, and then you'll be able to move forward with that. You may want to decide which rooms are going to be hotelable, and then you need a category that is occupiable, and then a capacity for that room. So those are all things that could be edited from here. You can click here and do 2 at a time, or do several rooms at once. But basically, you can make those changes right from here. So once you get your room inventory set up, then you can begin to look at various ways of making assignments of the space. So when we zoom in, we see employees are in various rooms. In this particular view, you can see as I hover on a person, I can actually grab a person and I can drag them and drop them, and that moves them from one space to another. I'm going to put them back in this case. And then you have the ability to see your whole inventory of rooms and people at the same time. Another feature of this is that you can determine how many days a week a person comes in. So again, when I look at a particular person, I have some information about, whoops, I went into the rooms, sorry. So a particular person, I can designate which days of the week that person's going to be in the space. And that will actually be, the system will be responsive to being able to see that as we go through. So let me show that to you. I've got 2 rooms that are designated as red in this particular situation. But the reality is that when I click on that room and look at the data, each person has a different set of days. And so you see Tuesday, Thursday for David, and Clara's on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you can go through and make every body that's going to come in, you could say, okay, well, they're going to be always in on these particular days. You can also designate them as always remote. So they would not be assigned any space because they're assumed not to be coming in. So when we come back here and I want to do a filter, I can say days in the office from the employee standpoint. And if I go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'm in a building called Bosmed, and second floor, and I search the floors. Now you see those 2 employees are showing, and now they're yellow because on that particular day, there's only 1 person in those rooms. So you can have a good idea of where people are on any given day using this particular tool. Another aspect of this is what's called teams. So I'm going to switch our highlight here to teams. And I'm in the spot here. So I have a team designated. I don't have this set right. Let me clear this off. So now the rooms that I've designated for that team, I can show here. Now, when we were in the employee side of this, it showed those rooms as vacant. And Archibus does that on purpose. You have to kind of mind that yourself. But you're able to designate teams. Teams are not limited to a particular department or a particular list of people. You can choose from all your employees a list of people that would be included in that team. Those people would not have a location in this case because they're coming into a team and they'll just pick a space when they come in. You have some other activities that can be done here as well. So you can have a function of the team, what kind of a team it is, and then description of the activity that's going on. You also can designate the rooms that are going to be associated with that particular team. And then finally, you can associate it with projects. So you can add a new project or a new division, start date, end date of when that they're going to be doing work and that kind of thing. So another way that you can designate areas that are going to be used for people as they come in. So those are the ways that we might look at it through space. We're also going to look at hoteling. Again, these are the same rooms that we're looking at for hoteling, and but these rooms will be designated for hoteling purposes. So if we go to workplace and we want to find a meeting space, we could do reservations, room reservations. But if we're looking for a workspace, a desk to sit at, we'd be looking here at hoteling. And we have all the buildings available where space is available can be selected. And then we have different combinations of how rooms can be selected. So in this particular case, you can designate this area of 8 and pick a number from that. And you're not really picking a specific location in that situation. But this one down here is just one room, and so you can set it up in both ways. Over on the right, you can determine whether you're going to be there all day, in the morning, or just the afternoon. If you want to show the department, if you want to show a particular employee, so you can sit next to that person, then it will show you where they are in the drawing. And then you can select what availability there is based on that. Go back here to headquarters. So here we have a room with 2 slots in it. Once you make a selection, you just say how many of those seats do you want, and then you hit book. And now you have the ability to say who that's going to be, right? The user, I logged in as AFM, and so that's why it's showing that particular user, but you could change the users that are here or do multiples. So then you're determining, this shows you what you're determining: date, full day, selected seats, and then you're done. So that's a way to put it into more of a reservation type mode so that you can kind of come ad hoc. You don't have to plan ahead for when you're coming. You just go looking for a space that's available on a given day. The next thing we're going to look at is space planning. And so this gives you the ability to do some what-if scenarios. It comes in a console, and it's you take your existing data and you can add it to this console so that you're able to take advantage of what you've already done, but then you can manipulate it as well. So we have the location of the building on the map. Archibus allows you to geolocate the buildings. In this case, we have a building that we were looking at earlier with 3 floors. And then we also have a potential building. So this is called unallocated space, meaning it's not a list of things that are in the database, but it's a way to have additional space, either for kind of temporary moving people around or moving groups around, or to actually plan, okay, what kind of building do we need, and be able to go find one that fits that profile. So when you click on the display button, you get a stack plan down here. In that stack plan, you've got the allocation of the space by department. And as you click on it, you see that it's interactive. And also, I'm going to click on the display down here. So one of the things that I did prior to this meeting was to take human resources off this first floor and dropped it down here into the 5th floor. The way this keeps up with things is through what are called events. So as you go through the events, you can make changes based on departments, and then you can in this case, a group was created inside a department to allocate, excuse me, almost 5,000 square feet of space. And then you can also see this change through time. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to change this date to the next month. And you see that that we added some space down here and actually split it into two pieces. And then again, a little bit later, we looked at it again and said, okay, now we're going to move part of that group down to another floor. So again, these are what if situations. So you're able to go through, determine the kinds of things you want to do and be able to see those here. You can also do things like mark up show a floor plan. So we have that same floor plan we were looking at earlier. You have the ability to highlight it to see where these departments are actually located. The colors are always going to be the same. So you got a little green there, and you got orange and blue, red. Remember, the floor plan is going to be the existing inventory, not following our changes down here. So that's why that red is still here on this page. You can also do a markup. So if I want to add, let's see if we can get it to show here. So then I have the ability to come in here and, okay, we're going to make a change here. And I'm going to size that where I want it. You can put notes on there. You can draw arrows, that kind of thing. So, and then save that. And once you save it, then you're able to send that along to somebody else or do other things with it. You can also take one of these and split it in two. You can add new allocations to it. And as you go along, then you begin to build some information that eventually will lead you to something like this gap analysis, where you can see the changes that are happening as you make changes. And then you can also see some details about each of the allocations. Information about the square footage. This also can track employee headcounts. You can have increasing headcounts over time and be able to see how that works out, or decreasing, either way. So those are the tools that we have to offer you today, and some ways to begin to think about how you might have people come back and move them around to so they can do their work.
And next slide we're going to have, so we've got Sean Gaffrey, who's a senior director over at DLT Solutions. DLT Solutions is the firm that we work with here at Imagine It with all our federal clients and many state and local government clients as well. They are holders of various and sundry government contractors, government contract vehicles, and work with a variety of different folks to help streamline that process to make that procurement process run a little smoother. So, Sean, I'll hand it off to you.
Excellent. Jeff, you hear me okay?
I can.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity to be on this call today and to present to the Space IQ Archibus customers. My name is Sean Gaffrey, Senior Director at DLT Solutions under the digital design team. That team handles Space IQ and Archibus. Wanted to accomplish 2 or 3 things today. Just a really quick understanding of who DLT is. More importantly, our relationship with Space IQ, Archibus, and Imagine It. Kind of what our role is in the equation and when you would see DLT maybe as opposed to Imagine It. And then ultimately, as the consumer, wanted to walk through some of the vehicles. We're going to focus on federal today, but I do have a web page that you can take a look at that is also going to highlight our state and our local and our agency specific contracts. So let's start with DLT. So DLT Solutions were 30 years old, established in 1991. About 300 employees. Were in Northern Virginia, right at the end of the runway of Dulles Airport. So if you're familiar with the area, about 30 miles west of Washington, D.C. 2 years ago, we were acquired by a much larger company, as you can see on my logo there. It's a tech data company. They're a global distributor. They've got about 15,000 employees. DLT is a wholly owned subsidiary. We're kind of left in our own unique silo, and there's for good reason. DLT's main charter or purpose is very US government focused, public sector focused. And what we offer to technology companies is the public sector infrastructure in order to effectively provide products to the US government. And public sector infrastructure would mean that the appropriate contract vehicles, the appropriate legal team, even marketing, obviously positioning products to the US government can be different than what you would do to a commercial customer. And if you boil that down, what we are specifically in this Archibus relationship, we are the government distribution model and very much a partner with Imaginet and Archibus. So when you see our name in the equation, there's no competition between Jeff's team and DLT's team. It's very much a complement. So we've had, I almost put, it's pretty darn near 25 years here, but I kept it over 20 years just to be safe. But in each instance, working with Michael and his team for well over 20 years, working with Jeff and his group for the same amount of time. And basically the easiest way to think about DLT is Jeff has a technical team with an outside organization that comes to the customer and talks about what they need and can get in depth on technical perspective. Once you understand what you need, DLT is that path in order for you to procure and hopefully to procure as easy as possible. I know there are a lot of process involved when it comes to government procurement. So that's where DLT comes in, and we offload that effort from Imaginet once the solution has been established. So really, it takes a lot to own these federal contracts, and we offload that from Archibus, we offload that from Imaginet, and anybody else who is in the ecosystem. So DLT is holding those contract vehicles in order to keep that partnership. If you can go to the next slide, Jeff. This is the highest level snapshot of some of our contracts, and conveniently, it's the most utilized. So wanted the folks on this call to realize, hey, GSA, we have Archibus products on GSA. It's the most widely used, not only in the federal space. I think there's about 13 states that will recognize GSA as equitable pricing. And then honestly, even if it's not a contract vehicle that we need to quote on, if we're quoting open market, we're going to quote GSA equivalent anyway. So if there isn't a contract requirement, we're still giving that government discount equivalent. So the next one is really important because DoD ESI, if there is a specific technology that is needed and it is on DoD ESI, in this case Archibus, then there is a mandate that the DoD consumer must use this vehicle. So we do have Archibus approved, and we do quote via the DoD ESI contract. And in many cases, you will see, as a DoD customer, will see additional benefits even above and beyond GSA. Subcategory of the DoD ESI 2GIT, it's an Air Force contract. Really, the mandate for ESI would probably take precedent, but wanted to share that it's certainly prevalent with some of our other technologies. And then on the FedCiv side, it's a NASA-run contract, but a lot of civilian agencies will use it. The SOUP 5 contract, DLT is a contract holder there as well. Next slide, Jeff. So just wanted to give a glimpse. DLT is here to provide ease of procurement. A lot of other federal contracts, dozens of state and local and agency-specific contracts. And then our partner network is north of thousands of partners. So if you think about needing to have a small business, maybe a hub zone, any kind of set aside, DLT has a partnership to accommodate for that. So wanted to give a glimpse into the some of the most popular contracts we hold, but also share with this group that there are many others to explore. The link here is a bit of a lengthy one, but really if you just go to dlt.com and you go under contracts, it's very intuitive. You can search all of the contracts that we own and that you would have access to. And then ultimately, if you have any questions or you need to see additional information, I'm on this alias. It's archibus@dlt.com. And ultimately, I'll leave with this group, work with Jeff and his team when you're trying to uncover what you need and what the solution can offer you. And then once you've come to that determination, you're going to see DLT come into the fold. And we're going to be talking about line items, and we're going to be talking about different contract vehicles, receiving quotations from DLT, and then navigating that procurement process from there on out. Again, Jeff, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate all the information. Finally, I'd like to hand it off to Michael Willett, who's a Director of Business Development for Space IQ. Space IQ is kind of the mother corporation that has a wide variety of different tools available, including Archibus and a couple of others that they've acquired recently. Michael's going to talk to us a little bit about the FedRAMP and Archibus SaaS. Michael, I'll hand it off to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Very good. So for anybody that doesn't know me, which is probably most of you on the line now, I am the Director of Business Development for Space IQ, specifically focused on the Archibus product line. So we are, I know there's been a little bit of rumor out there in the space especially in the federal space, that Archibus is moving towards a SaaS FedRAMP authorized solution. I can dispel those rumors and basically say that yes, we are moving forward with a FedRAMP solution. For those of you on the call that may not be aware of the term FedRAMP, FedRAMP is really just it's a structure. It just provides a little bit of standardized approach around cloud security and authorization of cloud security for government agencies. There are a number of mandates out there that are requiring all SaaS applications to be FedRAMP certified. And we, of course, have a wonderful footprint in the federal space and want to continue that. So we are absolutely moving forward with a FedRAMP certified offering. That said, it's quite a journey to get to FedRAMP. To be honest, it's not for the faint of heart. What I'm showing there on the screen, full disclosure, I did borrow this from one of our customers, but I think it explains the journey relatively well. From start all the way to the finish there. We are particularly going through what is classified as an agency process. There are two levels of process. There's agency and the JAB. I'm going to focus on the agency today. But we are being sponsored by a particular agency. The agency has gone through a couple of steps already in terms of the discovery and the acquisition phase. Once the acquisition phase is passed, they go into the security package development, which is really where the whole FedRAMP process starts. And that's where we're at right now, is in that security package development phase. We have hired or we are working with a consultant for this and a 3PAO, and going to get them to help us move through the rest of the process. The security package development, it will go into package review, assessment. The ATO will get awarded, fingers crossed, and then release and deployment. And then obviously there's a whole series of sustainment activities that go along with this process as well. So we are very early on in the stages. Jeff, could you advance to the next slide, please? And then just go ahead and build that out if you would for me. Thank you. Appreciate it. So where we are today is right at the very far left of this. We are in the strategy and the development phase with our consultant. The expectation is to get this kicked off in January. We are about 60 to 90 days out, give or take. All of this is ish, right? So 60 to 90 days out from being FedRAMP, what they call FedRAMP ready. There are a series of milestones as you go through FedRAMP. So the first milestone is actually becoming FedRAMP in process and actually listed on the FedRAMP website, which is fedramp.gov for those of you that would like to check it out. We're expecting to be listed on the website as in process sometime in February, and then 60 to 90 days after that, we should be FedRAMP ready, which is sort of the next high-level milestone. And then about 6 to 8 months after that, through a process, sort of a fast track process that our consultant is helping us through, we're expecting to be FedRAMP certified. Again, none of this is set in stone, so full disclosure, this is all forward thinking. But these are the target dates. So really, at the end of the day, we are looking to be FedRAMP certified and have a FedRAMP certified deployment ready for you all, in the federal or even state and local space if you choose to, by the end of 2022. And then after that, obviously, there are other requirements, the continuous monitoring. So there's a renewal process, effectively a renewal process to make sure that we're maintaining that FedRAMP certification out over time. So what does that mean for the Archibus offerings? So today we have really two offerings. We have our Archibus platform on-premise and our Archibus SaaS platform. And the differences, the very high-level differences are listed there in those boxes below. So the on-premise solution, today you can host that behind your firewalls, or you can have your partner host that for you, or DLT even will host that for you in sort of a managed services offering. It's updated on your schedule, so when you decide to upgrade, you have every ability to do so, and it's priced by application and concurrent use. Archibus SaaS, conversely, is hosted in the Archibus AWS environment. It's managed by Archibus, so all the managed services are provided by Archibus, supported by Archibus or the Archibus business partner. So you kind of have a choice there. We do recommend that you work with your partner. They know Archibus probably in some ways better than we do. It is updated. The beautiful thing about Archibus SaaS is that it is updated quarterly. So updates are pushed just like you would expect in any SaaS offering. Updates are pushed quarterly, so you're always, absolutely always on the latest and greatest platform that Archibus has to offer. It's priced by groups of applications and square footage under management. So depending on how large or how small your portfolio is, it's priced in that way. And then, there are a number of other kind of advantages to the Archibus SaaS platform. One big one that I think is a major differentiator between the on-premise solution and the SaaS solution is that you do have unlimited users. So we really don't care how many people are using it at the same time. It doesn't much matter. The system scales through AWS. It scales appropriately and allows great performance regardless of how many users are actually in the system at the same time. Now, FedRAMP SaaS is effectively going to be exactly the same as the Archibus SaaS, except it will absolutely be, from a security perspective, FedRAMP certified. So still unlimited users, still priced by groups of applications and square footage under management, still supported by Archibus or the partner, et cetera. So, yeah, those are the primary differences. I just wanted to give everybody kind of a taste of where we were today and what the expectations are, the targets are coming forward, and happy to take any questions from here on out.
Thank you,
Back to you,
Michael.
Jeff.
Yes, so I wanted to ask, I know we guys were at the beginning of this FedRAMP certification and process. If there are organizations who would like to maybe pursue this FedRAMP type of product, are they required to wait until after it gets certified before they can move forward, or is there an opportunity for them to go ahead and get the project started now and then move forward or put in production once the authorization has been obtained?
Yeah, great question. And no, absolutely do not wait. If FedRAMP is, if you have a requirement for an IWMS system and it must be FedRAMP certified, I would actually highly recommend that you get started today. Because by the time we get through all of the procurement and requirements gathering and all of the other activities that kind of go alongside an IWMS deployment, we will likely be FedRAMP certified. It generally takes some time to pull all that together, capture data, et cetera, all kinds of activities that can happen over the next 6 to 8 months that will sort of, in all honesty, align well with our FedRAMP plan. So highly recommend you don't wait. Please come to us and we'd be happy to guide you through the process.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Thank you all. Appreciate your help.